Hi everyone, welcome to After Dark Analysis. Today is going to be part 4 of Critical Android and I, talking about things that scared us in childhood.
But what else terrified you?
The only other major thing was somehow I became convinced that there were dead bodies in the attic. I have no idea why. My father made me go up there eventually and show me, and then that fear passed. But then I became afraid of the basement. And the reason being, it wasn't so much the basement itself, it was the stairs, because we didn't have, cellar stairs. They were full of built, we had almost a finished basement. There was, the drywall never went up, but all the beams were there. I slipped on a plastic bag at the top of the stairs, fell down, and about halfway down the stairs, somehow my body slumped over the railing. So I was about ready to go head first over it, but I luckily didn't. So yeah, I was afraid of that after that.
Well, that's a good reason to be afraid of those things.
Yeah. Our basement now is fully finished, and I don't have that phobia, because I'm just like, I can't fall down like that, because there's a wall on either side of me.
Thankfully. I for the most part, when I grew up, I didn't have a home that had a cellar or basement, so those were novel concepts to me, and I obviously didn't understand the fear of either of those things when I was growing up.
I don't know where the attic idea came from. No idea, but the basement, yeah, that made sense.
I distinctively remember a episode of Home Improvement where Tim's talking to one of his sons, Randy, because Randy gets a bedroom built for him in the basement, and he starts becoming very afraid of it because of all the noises that are going on down there. And so Tim, being the comforting father that he is, tells him about when he was younger and he went to his grandparents' house. They had an attic that he was afraid of, and he was always terrified to go up there. And Randy asks Tim, well, how'd you get over your fear of it? So I didn't have to. Tornado came by and ripped the entire top of the house off. It's like, are you afraid of attics now? No. Terrified of tornadoes, though. and incidentally, that does tie into a fear that I have of, because of tornadoes or at least some very strong, microburst storms that occurred in the area that I lived. Anytime they would have a national weather alert bulletin or a regional weather alert bulletin, I guess it would be, from the National Weather Service, that sound, that the very distinct buzzing sound of the whether it's a test or an actual emergency, would scare me quite a bit, knowing that information was set to follow.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. That's a completely understandable fear.
But to this day, because, even worse today, they have the computerized voices, like if you hear a weather bulletin on the radio, voice that will tell you about what's going on, and that's creepy as all get out. Because this ties back into the previous concepts that we mentioned about something supposed to be human, but isn't, and that voice in its very dead, emotionless state that isn't stringing together words exactly like it should. It's got emphasis on different parts of words where it should be, and it runs them together incorrectly. And they're describing what's going to happen. It's a severe weather warning has been issued for the Binghamton area, and then it will go on to describe the storm calls for rain, hail, thunderstorms, and lightning. Stay away from all windows. One of these days it's going to say, an apocalypse warning has been issued for the world. Please be on the lookout for 4 horsemen. Stay away from all windows when the pale rider approaches. Christ, this is just what I needed.
Yeah, no, that is definitely an understandable thing, because that still freaks me out in adulthood, is that I hate it when I misdial, because that tone, it just gets me.
The doo-doo-doo!
Yeah.
You're sorry.
I hate that.
Oh man, I got a good story for you. You're gonna love this one. This scared the living shit out of me when I was a kid. Oh man. So my dad was out of the house, and my mom was out of the house, and I was 8 years old. And by out of the house, I just mean my dad was out mowing the lawn, and mom was running errands or something. And so I get a phone call, and I'm old enough to answer the phone and say hello. And I hear a computerized voice say, you are receiving a call from a Missouri State Penitentiary from inmate named, and there's a gap. I hear, Murr. If you would like to accept this call, please press the pound sign. If you would not like to hear from this inmate again, please press the star sign. And being 8 years old, I don't know what the hell the pound sign and the star sign really are, so I just hang up the phone and go cry. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to say. He just said murr. Was he just murder? And he didn't get the last part of it out? Is his name Murray and he didn't get the re out?
Maybe his name was Merle?
It could have been Merle. I don't know a Merle. As far as I know, my parents don't know a Merle, but they're both dead, so I can't check with them anymore. I didn't really tell them about it when I was a kid. It's like, it's a bit late to tell them now. But I told one of my friends about this in college. He's like, what if that was Murr's only phone call that he was supposed to get, and he wasted it because you hung up the phone, and now he can't call anymore? That's not funny. Not funny at all.
A friend of ours is actually repeatedly been getting calls from an inmate, and just like he talks to her about nothing, just keeps going on and on. I'm like, wait, I thought there was like a phone list of approved calls, and she's like, nope, they can call whoever they want. It's like, well, shit. It totally blew that TV trope for me and any recourse she could have had.
You should be able to deny that call, though.
Yeah, I guess she must have picked it up accidentally or something originally, but yeah, no, I think she's been denying them now. She's like, he just keeps calling and calling. I said, I don't know why.
Weird.
Because they don't know her.
That was bad when I got Murr on the phone.
Yeah, no, she's just got this inmate that just wants to talk to her for no good reason.
Kind of the only other thing I can think of is that he was trying to get on the phone, and one of the other inmates was bothering him. It's like, hey, Fred, what were those things that the wise men gave to baby Jesus? There was gold, frankincense, and what was the other one? Myrrh. And that's where it picked up his conversation. That's the only other explanation I can come up with.
Yeah, the freak out was that tone, and it was clearly the pre-recorded message. I don't think it was a robot. It was like clearly a person recorded. It was for the same reason that canned laughter freaks people out, is because those people are dead now.
It doesn't freak me out necessarily, though. Sometimes when I watch old game shows on Game Show Network, I do look and it's like, wonder how many of those people are dead now.
Yeah. It was weird. We were watching it in an advertising class I took in college, where Tiger Woods, after the whole infidelity thing came out, they did an ad with his father's voice, but his father was dead at the time. And he's like...
It was that black and white commercial where he's talking about disappointment and things like that.
Yeah, and Tiger's just staring dead-eyed into the camera, because that was effective somehow. That definitely communicated sorry, just staring. But yeah, my professor asked why it was a bad idea. I'm like, well, because there's something inherently creepy about somebody is dead talking.
My first introduction to canned laughter was actually I had this old cartoon tape of Scooby-Doo, and for those who don't remember, the classic Scooby-Doo and a lot of classic cartoons at the time had a built-in laugh track. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they felt they felt they had to do it to emphasize the humor whenever something funny was said, otherwise the audience apparently wouldn't get it.
Of course.
But as a kid, I was all confused about how did they get the people laughing at this? Did they just show them a cartoon and they recorded everything? No, I realized later it's an actual sound effect they just put in, but I was a confused kid when that came out.
It's a strange thing, and it's kind of, just, in principle, it's kind of eerie.
I've got something even more eerie than that. As a kid growing up, I was deathly afraid of balloons.
Okay, there's got to be a story there.
There is. I was at a birthday party. I can't remember who it was for. It must have been from one of my mother's friends' sons or something like that. So I was at this birthday party, and these two bigger kids apparently were trying to pick on me, and one of them pulled me aside into a side room, I think it was a bedroom, and started popping balloons in my face, just one after another. And I tried to get out of the chair, and one of his friends came and pushed me back down into the chair, and they just kept popping the balloons one after another. I just started crying because they were not letting me go and just continually popping all these balloons in my face. And finally, somebody heard me screaming, and they pulled me out of the room and obviously chastised the two guys. Of course, now looking back on it, there's a setup there for something far more worse than just having balloons popped in my face. When you think of, he was dragged to a bedroom and then he was pushed down and held in a chair. Mm-hmm. That could have turned out so many worse ways. But yeah, for a while after that, I was terrified of balloons because I was afraid of them popping.
Yeah, and that laugh wasn't at you being afraid of balloons. It was, why would a bully think to do that? What goes through your head going, I'm going to pop balloons in this kid's face? That's ridiculous.
Well, considering the alternative of what could have happened, I'm glad they did that route.
Yeah,
I grew up with a fear of balloons for years because of that. Frankly, I don't think I can be blamed for that at that point in time.
No, that was totally just something bad happened, and that makes sense now. Because it's a loud, unnerving noise to begin with, and then you have it framed in this context that was threatening.
Yeah, and I don't know, I got picked on a lot as a kid for reasons, whatever. it happened. I moved on, and it's not okay of what happened, but
Yeah.
glad I got through it with good, loving support from friends and family.
This concludes part 4 of our look at unintentionally scary things from childhood. Next time we will be discussing things that Critical was afraid of that I inadvertently gave him a little bit more context for. If you like what you're seeing, please hit like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like what you're seeing, please leave a comment and let me know. Thank you.